is your boy Alex. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow's going to be Monday. And it's basically going to be Memorial Day. So I decided to do a video today and not to do it tomorrow because I want to give y'all guys a break. I think a 3 to 4 day break is very well deserved. It gives you a chance to watch other YouTube content creators because when I come back, I have another big video project coming up. This is supposed to complete the 5-part episode of the music series. So we try to get to every category as I possibly can get to. And this one's going to be another one. This one's going to be mixed. It's going to be mixed with pop, hip hop. Well, it don't say hip hop, but we're going to put it on there. It's going to say pop, R&B, rock, pop rock, rap. We're going to put all that on there. And I apologize that it's going to be a long title to a video. I apologize. I'm trying my best to try to shorten the title. In the next video, we're going to try to actually do that. Shorten the title of the video. I know y'all don't want to read this long-ass title, but when you do these types of videos, you got to get very creative and think outside the box. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. It's a part of life. Like my mom used to say, you can't make everybody happy. Some people will be happy. Some people will not, no matter what you do. Title of this video is going to be called Sex Game, the top 11 greatest pop rock, rap bands of all times. Now, we're talking about the best of the best. You got boy groups, you got girl groups, you got people who did pop music, you got people who did rock music, and we have to take the best of the best. And finally, I came up with 11 groups that's on this list. Some of them you might have heard of when you were in high school, college, in your 20s and your 30s. Some of y'all probably ain't never heard of these people on this list. And some of y'all might be upset with the names that's on this list, and some of y'all might be upset with the names that you think that should be on this list, but it's not. Should I make a sequel? Only time will tell. Alright, coming in at number 11 is B2K. Now, this was a group I grew up with. Marcus Houston or Marion. Those guys were singing when they were like 12, 13 years old. And they were huge diehard fans of New Edition. I mean, think about it. These guys were singing at 12 and 13 years old. These guys met each other at a talent show. They competed against each other at talent shows. They went like to at least 6 or 7 talent shows before the two got the idea to tag team together. They met 3 other guys. It was 5. Then out of nowhere, they ended up having like 5 guys in a group. And then a manager came in and saw some potential and saw a new addition out of these guys. The manager said he saw Bobby Brown all over again. And between Marcus Houston and Armorion, you had to ask who's like the next Bobby Brown. And they created this group. They changed the name because at first it had a different name, and then they changed the name. This was like 1993, 94, that they were young. Marcus Houston was on Sister. Yeah, a lot of y'all probably don't remember that, but he was acting in television and film. Like, he was already an actor. He was doing movies, television shows, but his true passion was music and breakdancing. And Amarion was also in television too. A lot of people didn't realize he was already doing some movies and some TV, and then he started getting into the songs, as some of those romance songs that Genuine and Usher would be in. He would probably try to audition for those. So finally they created the group, and by 98, 99, they had arrived as B2K. And they were like supposed to be the next Boys to Men. They were like 50% Boys to Men, 50% New Edition. They had a new sound. They were unique. They was fresh. Nobody had never seen them like that before. And women just couldn't help themselves. Women would sneak out of high school, okay? Women would sneak out of high school. If you were in college, you had your younger sister sneak out of school to go see these guys. And there was a lot of people getting in trouble in high school because I remember when I took this one class as a file clerk counselor. That means you spend all day in the office doing files, which is very boring. But the point was, a lot of people got suspended. Guys on the basketball team and football team would go to talent shows, and guess who they were trying to imitate? This group. Guys was trying to sing a bum bum bum. Tell me how do you want? Tell me when you move. I see the hips go bum 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 bum. It's been a long time, but women love that song. And guys would be trying to do the break dancing. Before you saw Get Crump with it, they were already doing Get Crump with it before Get Crump became famous to do. They were doing it before it was time to do. Now, they did put out like 4 albums in 6 years, but they also had problems. Fame, fortune, women, egos. And I remember they came out with this Sound Source magazine in 2001, summer 2002, and it was so controversial. They were trying to pin Omarion against Marcus Houston. Like they were trying to do like how Bobby Brown got into it with another lead singer of New Edition. They were trying to make a resurrection of that all over again for our generation. And Marcus Houston tried his hardest to stay in the group, but when he saw that it'd been 6 years, he was like 24, 25 years old, he was in his prime, and he said, hey, make me a solo artist. He became a solo artist, and his album went double platinum because he did this one song where he was taking stuff from Genuine and some stuff from Usher, and he became very good. All of a sudden, he's doing songs with Usher, Genuine, Jermaine Dupri, P. Diddy. He's doing songs with all these artists, and Marion is trying to get himself started, and he getting into legal suits because he got people from when he was in junior high and high school, that he ain't seen for 10 years, knock on his door and go, yo, man, I need some money with my bills. And he's like, you can't pop up when I get rich and famous, man. Y'all wasn't hanging with me when I was, trying to do my dream, so y'all should get to stepping. So he was on making albums about expressing how he felt when he was in the group, and then some diss songs came. Nobody thinks that a group of young guys would make an album dissing each other. It was like when Omarion made his first song, he was just trying to express how he felt when the group fell apart. Because two of the other guys was complaining they wasn't making enough money. They was blaming Omarion and Marcus Houston for getting all the attention and the spotlight. They were the stars. And they couldn't stand that. So the group fell apart. They didn't speak to each other for about almost 5 years. By this point, I'm like 34, so they're like around my age. And if you've seen Love and Hip Hop season 1 and 2 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, Omarion's on the television show, and he's a producer, a songwriter, and a lot of people wanted to ask, for almost 11 years the question was debated, who's the better singer, Marcus Houston or Omarion? A lot of people felt that Omarion was more of a freestyle singer because he could sing any style, hip-hop, rap, pop. If he wanted to go rock, he could do it. And Marcus Houston was more of the talented dancer that just happened to do both, sing and dance. And he was being greatly compared to Usher because if you think about it, if it weren't for this group, a lot of the groups you see today would not exist because of this group. This group, the reason why they're on the list is because they did put out four albums in 6 years. Now they put out a 5th album because they was doing a reunion tour. But some of the guys in the group still don't see eye to eye. Some agree to come back for the reunion tour. We do know the accident had that postponed. And they did release some songs, some unreleased tracks. To me, I would say they're on the same level. I mean, I don't think you should try to make it off like Tupac and Biggie, because every time someone asks Omarion who's better between you and Marcus Houston, he gets red in the face. And when they ask Marcus Houston like, I ain't answering shit. If I was him, I wouldn't answer shit either. So that's why they are at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is TLC. You cannot have a list of a bunch of men on here without mentioning TLC. Come on, you have Left Eye Lopez. I think Chili was in that group. I'm not too sure. I might have to double check. But before Destiny's Child popped up on the spot and was making songs about pay my bills or on my automobiles and all of that, nobody gives TLC the respect and the credit they deserve. They were like the second or third girl group to come into the game and break ground. They came in the mid 1990s. You know, we all know Left Eye Lopez was like the sexiest, the finest woman in the group. She had the best vocals, the best skills, the best talent, but she also had her demons. I know, because we all are human. We all make mistakes. She had her demons. And I'm not saying she was the greatest singer in the group, but she happened to do both. She could sing, she could dance, she had range, but there were times where she would shy away from the spotlight. And that's where the other two girls had to step up and pick up the bigger load. And you see, they became a legend because nobody had never seen. At that time, you had Salt and Pepper. Yeah, I know my shit. I know my shit. Back when music was the shit, not this garbage crap that y'all hear on the radio. If y'all was born in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, put something down in the comment section and let me know. She kind of was like the next female that if she wanted to separate from the group and get her own solo album, she could do it. She was like the only one that could actually do that. Like get a solo album, do a group album, do movies and TV, and try to get onto the same level as Aaliyah. The problem was, you know, she had issues with alcohol, drugs, abuse. You know, she had issues with her dad and things of that nature. She wasn't used to the fame. She had a hard time trying to balance her schedule. And when she passed away, like in 2002, it was a tragedy. We lost Aaliyah in 2001. We turn around, we get to 2002. We're almost into 2003, and we lose Left Eye Lopez. Like, she was another one that died in her prime. We never got to see what she could have done. Like, she did manage to put out 4 or 5 albums in a group. She did her solo album, and we still have some music that we still ain't never heard of. So if you think about it, if it weren't for this group, you would have never got a Destiny's Child. Just think about it. You would have never got a Spice Girls because they kind of came in at a period where it was okay for men in the 80s and 90s to have boy bands. It wasn't okay for women to be in the group. And they kind of said, we're girls, we're fresh, we're new. It ain't going to be the same sound, but we're going to kick some ass and take some names. So I'm giving TLC the respect and credit it deserves. They stand to the test of time because all these songs are still being played to this very day. They get into the movies, the television shows. Women that weren't even born yet, as soon as they hear No Scrub, they know what the hell the song is. And I'm giving them the recognition because they're the ones who kind of actually were singing them songs where it was legitimate, where people bashed the group and basically gave Destiny's Child a pass. Both groups were singing the same songs. Thing was, people chose Destiny's Child. Sorry, it's a helicopter. I apologize. You know, it's the LAPD police helicopter over us, so I apologize for that. But people gave Destiny's Child more credit because Beyonce was the leader in the group, and people just forgot all about TLC. People forgot about Salt and Pepper. They forgot about groups like that. So they were someone that came from before but was not being acknowledged. They were trying to make it seem like they could not compete with Destiny's Child. And people forget, Destiny's Child had to sing headliner for TLC. People forget that. Destiny's Child was looking up to TLC at one point. People forget that too. Coming in at number 9 is New Edition. Now, New Edition was like another group that Bobby Brown was a part of. He was the only guy that went from one boy group to another one. And the reason why New Edition was created was because Bobby Brown had a fallout with the manager and the other lead singer, and he always felt that he was going to live in the shadow of the lead singer. So when Bobby Brown hooked up with 3 other guys and they created New Edition, he became the lead singer, and then he again had a problem with fame and fortune, and then he left the group, put out his own album, which surprisingly was good, And then 3 years later, they did a reemergence, a recreation of New Edition. And they managed to make it into the 80s and the 90s and throughout the 2000s. And it's hard to get a group like that to break up, get back together, get together, break up, and put out some good hits, some real legitimate hits. Like if you've seen the movie called The Best Man, Holiday, the sequel of Best Man, they did rehearsals of their songs and their dance. So a lot of people that's in their late 30s, mid 40s, and early 50s, they remember some New Edition. I mean, 3 years ago, BET made a movie special of how New Edition got into the game and broke barriers and got in and kicked ass and take names. You can't make a list without mentioning New Edition. New Edition. All right, coming at number 8 is New Kids on the Block. Now, a lot of y'all are probably scratching your head, spitting out your Coca-Cola, your Pepsi, your Mountain Dew, your Sierra Mist, which nobody really drinks Sierra Mist no more, but Mountain Dew, orange juice, apple juice. You're probably like, what the hell? New Kid on the Block? Yeah, these guys came in the late 80s, early 90s. To me, this is another group that nobody gives no respect and no credit to. Before Backstreet Boys, before 98 Degrees, before Nsync. Once upon a time, there was New Kids on the Block. Those toy dolls, they were the first group to actually have their own toy. A lot of people don't know this, but they were the first ones to make it cool. Like, you see how Justin Bieber got toys, right? Well, New Kids on the Block had done it first. They were the first boy band to be in movies, television shows, commercials, singing their own songs, cartoon. From the little intro they had to the cartoon where they would come on stage and the cartoon would come on and then girls would just go nuts. Girls would just go crazy for this group. And I was a little kid, I was like memorized because I had never seen a cartoon intro to start your own song. And then you get your own toy, your own t-shirt. And when I used to work at Top Shop Top Man, they just happened to have some merchandise of what else? New Kids on the Block. Yeah, if it weren't for New Kids on the Block, you wouldn't have no Nsync, no 98 Degrees, no Backstreet Boys. These were the guys, if they were not the first band, they were the second. When they started going from rock to pop rock, they took some rock, they took some hip hop, and that's how we got pop rock. This is like a group that survived 2 decades, and they're still going strong. And it's just sad and disappointing that nobody knows who this group is. They've been around for a long time. Yes, they had their issues. Yes, there was alcohol, sex, drugs, fame. They had their issues, but they managed to get together and they managed to show that they compete. When Backstreet Boys and Nsync came out, these guys were making a comeback. And in fact, at one point, they did songs with both groups. A lot of people don't know that either. You ask the Backstreet members, Backstreet Boys and Nsync, they both did songs with New Kids on the Block. So to me, these guys are like legends because they came first. It's just unfortunate nobody remembers this group. All right, coming in at number 7 is an R&B hip-hop group called Backstreet. No Diggity. Now, this is like a rap group that's been around for like 2 decades, okay? This is like one of the best hits. Like, most rap groups fall apart after 5 or 10 years. This group's been around for 20 years. They put out an album called No Doubt. Number 1 hit single, No Diggity. Play on, play, no diggity, no doubt. You get Dr. Dre coming on, rapping hard on the mic. You got the Brat. You know, you can see Jermaine Dupri in the background, chilling, you know. And then you get the singers come on and they sing their little part. And you got little Penny Hardaway. At that time, the Orlando Magic basketball player Penny Hardaway would do commercials of little Penny Hardaway. And they had him do the piano. I'm like, oh shit. That song was popping. Like, if you want to go into a club and holler at a black woman, that's the song you need to wait to come on. It's No Diggity. Wait for the beat to go, doom, 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 doom.
play, no diggity, no doubt. And then Dre just come on and just tear up the track. I'm like, oh shit, it's motherfucking Dr. Dre. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you, this group, every time that song come on, I always be rapping hard on the mic. You brought in Dr. Dre, you bring in the Brat. It was like they were doing their own version of a national anthem with this group. They brought in so many players into that song, so many artists, that kind of made other artists' careers today. Every time that song come on, people, guys that think they players, guys that think they're the Mac, the pimp, they play this song. This ain't me ain't making it up. My uncle played the songs on my mom's and dad's side of the family. Song come on, my dad start getting the play on player because it's that good of a song. And they were a group. They were like the second or third, maybe fifth rap group that you know that was a rap group. If it weren't for them, you probably would have never got a younger version of B2K. So you have to think about it. These guys are legends now. Like, you look at the Flamingos, right? Think of Backstreet, and then you look at the comparisons of the Flamingos. They're kind of like a recall back to this group. Now, coming in at number 6 is going to be a rock band, Disturbed. Now, when they created the album Indestructible, and then they did the theme song Indestructible, it fit very well. You know why I love Disturbed? Because they did Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song. Every song has so much aggression in it. You can feel the aggression in their voice. They're passionate. They're serious about their work. And they even got songs for fighting, sports. And then they got them songs that get you all hyped up. Sometimes when I hear the song, sometimes I want to go get a guitar and break the shit out of it. Because Disturbed was good at getting you pumped in your emotions and getting you riled up when you needed to get riled up. That's what I like Disturbed for. Alright, coming in at number 5, we got us Backstreet Boys. You can't have a group without no Backstreet Boys, right? Now, this was a group that when they popped out, the first thing I thought was New Kids on the Block all over again. But these guys could sing their songs. You had boy bands rapping songs, doing some rock. These guys were singing the songs. And it was like, can they do that? Is that allowed? Is that acceptable? And somehow they won the crowd over with doing it. Eventually they would switch the sound of their music. When they got to their third or fourth album, they started doing some romances. Then they started doing some pop. Then they started adding the breakdancing in. And then these guys were doing this in their mid-20s, and people was afraid by the time they get to their 30s would not nobody remember them. Now, as time has gone on, old songs are popping up at parties, house parties, college parties, birthday parties, nightclubs. Now, have they kind of faded a bit? They kind of have, but they're still irrelevant because as long as you play those songs and they get in the movies, you still know who they are. Now, this next group has constantly killed people with their songs. Nsync. If you ask me right now in high school, what was I heard girls try to sing the songs to more of, Backstreet Boys or Nsync? I'm going to say Nsync. Women would fight over which boy band was better. And sometimes, depending on what class I had in high school, I would get stuck in the middle of these conversations. If it was black women, they would ask who you think is better, New Edition or Backstreet. And a lot of times I would just yell out Backstreet and start running because they were like, alright, I'm going to see your ass after school. I was supposed to say New Edition and B2K, but I said No Diggity, Backstreet. Yeah, I had to run a lot. And if the white girls was asking me which group's better, I would just say Nsync. I mean, there were some girls that went, you don't like Backstreet Boys? Like, they good, but Nsync make you feel like you alive and shit. You know, they can tell a story, they can sing. Here goes a group. This would became one of the next groups to dance. Like, they was dancing. It was like, what? And to me, when they started doing a collaboration with the other group, people didn't think they could do it, but they did. Now, they had their problems too: the alcohol, the sex, the drugs, the temptation, egos. Now, we all know the superstar was going to be Justin Timberlake, okay? We all know he was going to become a superstar. Dropped his 6 albums, hooked up with Timberland. We all know he was going to become the superstar out of the group. We know Joey ended up becoming a cook. He's a celebrity cook. And when they did that movie, I think it was a comedy like 5 years ago, where they brought Nsync into the movie, and some part of that movie was for their comeback reunion. And everyone at the movie theater started singing their songs. Bye, 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 boy. Everybody get up on it. So Backstreet Boys had done a song, and then Nsync kind of copied the song, which you can get dished and sued for, and did a similar version to it. And Nsync was so good that people remember Nsync a little bit more than Backstreet Boys. So that's why they're a little higher than them. Alright, coming in at number 3 is Saliva. That's a rock band. Now, Saliva is one of these rock bands I like. I grew up listening to them in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the one song that made me started paying attention to the group is when they did Chris Jericho's first theme song. The way Chris Jericho brought his ass out, he in there doing all of this. Dun 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 dun. Come on, you know I got you, yeah. Break down the wall, Now you know you awaken from a deep sleep, agony of defeat. Break down the wall of a Jericho. Now you know Jericho. I was a huge Chris Jericho fan, okay? Wrestling in the 90s was the shit. Now, I know wrestling today sucks, but back in the day, it was the shit. Chris Jericho came out on the mic and said, "Where are my Jericho-holics at?" Every time that song came on, I would do what Chris Jericho do. Then to take his song, remix it, and call it the King of the World. And then to go do it again with another wrestler. Batista. I Walk Alone. Sometimes when I play that song when I'm depressed, mad, if I get rejected, not just with women, if I get rejected at a job interview, sometimes I get mad, and sometimes I play Batista's theme song, and sometimes I do feel like the weight is on my shoulders, the weight of the world. Sometimes I do that. And every time Batista came out and did his thing, I would pretend I was Batista, go into the wrestling ring, get hyped up, and ready to whoop somebody's ass. Because that song got you ready for a fight. They were so good that they were on the same level as Korn. They've been around for 20 years that it's amazing that any song you pick out, it's a good one. And all those songs stand to the test of time. You can't have a group without including them on the list. Coming in at number 2 is Korn. Now, my best friend just loved some Korn. I talked about it in the first episode of my rock band series of 2 videos. Now, Korn has shitloads of songs to choose from. Evolution is by far their best album, their best song, and the fact that the lead singer started to rhyme on the mic hard, it's like, damn, I didn't even know he can switch from singing to on the verge of rapping hard. Like, it was like the more he spit out some hard ass rhymes, it's like, god damn. And when he said these motherfuckers are deranged, it's evolution. It's like, oh shit. I mean, the way the song comes out, it's like you play it today, you still can feel that energy coming from him. And that song's like at least, 5, 6, 7 years old. You still can feel his energy when you play that song. That's how hard he went on the mic. So you gotta have Korn on here. Gotta represent Korn. Now coming in for the number 1 spot, a group without question that has earned the number 1 spot. They've put out almost 10 albums. They have managed to last for almost 2.5 decades. This songs are played at birthday parties, wedding anniversaries, funerals. And this is the one time that when people have a hard time, their life ain't going right, you pop in a song, they make you forget that you're even having a bad day. They make you even forget that somebody passed away. Boys to Men, the greatest of all times. You sing any song, It's Hard to Say Goodbye. That's a classic. Every time somebody passed away, the first thing they think of is that song. The way Homeboy goes, duh, it's so hard to say goodbye through the good times and the way you made me feel. That is to this very day a classic song. It gets in the movies, television shows, commercials, birthday parties, weddings, funerals. No other group on this list has ever transcended time like Boyz II Men. All the other groups are legends and icons, and that's why they're on this list. But Boyz II Men did something that is hard to do. Think about it. Every time somebody passes away, their song is played. Every time somebody get married, that song is being played. Every time there's a birthday party, or you ain't seen somebody in 15, 20 years, that song is being played. Gets into the movies, the shows, the commercials. Every time they do a talent show, someone is always doing Boyz II Men. They hook up with LL Cool J and Joe. Hey lovin', it is more than a crush. Lovin', hey lovin', it is more than a crush. Lovin', yeah, that stands to the test of time. Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is the group that you're measured by. When you talk about boy bands, whether it's rock music, pop, rock, R&B, doesn't matter if it's 3 guys, 4, 5, 6 guys in the group. When you talk about groups, you talk about being the greatest of all times, the best of the best. You're talking about Boyz II Men. They put out like almost 10 albums, if not 10, close to 10. Some people are gonna like this choice. Some people are not gonna like this choice. This group has been around. They are legends for a reason. Until next time, peace.